Hey there, everybody. It's Cassidy. Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Ask Dr. Callahan Facebook Live. Today, I'm going to talk with you guys about the activities in our Algebra 1 course. A lot of people don't know these are there, and I've had a few people ask me about them, so I wanted to tell you about them. I'm using this BeLive software, so I'm looking around my screen here because I really hope that there was a way to screen share over there for you, and I don't believe that there is. So what I will do is I will share the link here to our website, because what I'm going to reference in our live video here today is available for free download without buying anything. You can get what I'm going to tell you about today on our website as part of the preview materials that we include on our page. When we talk about our algebra course, we have it'll be called the Teacher's Guide, and it is there. When you get to our page, you go to AskDrCallahan.com, and again, I'm going to post this link over in the chat so you guys can look there. Okay, so the link has been posted in the chat. You can go over and look there. When you get to the page, it'll say Algebra, everything you need. And if you'll scroll down underneath the videos, you'll see a numbered list under a header called Required to Take the Course. There's 4 items that you have to take our Algebra 1 course. And the one I'm talking to you about today is item number 3, the Elementary Algebra Teacher's Guide. And if you click that little purple link there, you'll be able to download it, and you'll want to jump over to page 29. So let's see if I can add that. Page 29. Page 29 of the Algebra 1 Teacher's Guide. Now, when you get there, what you're going to find are what's called optional activities. And I want to talk to you about what these are and kind of how to use them. When you're going through the algebra course, you're going to get to a lesson on area. And of course, it teaches you length times width is the area of a rectangle. And you get in there and you learn how to do area then on something that's made up of multiple shapes. And you take the area of each piece and add them together. That is a standard algebra lesson as part of a course. But what we did was we added in a way to practice this concept that was a little more hands-on. So if your student really likes to learn by doing or enjoys engaging with what they're learning, these are in there for those students. And what you'll do is these activities work exactly like labs in a science class. And so when you get to the concept of area in your algebra class, then you'll flip over to page 29 in the Teacher's Guide, and this would take the place of homework one day. So you would be engaging and doing this instead of doing the lesson, perhaps. I've seen some people do it where they go through the week like normal and then they do this activity then on the weekend. There's no set way that you have to do it or are supposed to do it. It's there because learning for some students is a much more dynamic process than just writing it down on a piece of paper. And they learn better what they're doing and how to do it when they're able to really, well, do the math with their hands on something that is outside. And so what this activity is called finding the area of your house. Now, for any of you that have ever looked at the blueprints of a house, you know that when you draw it out, you can draw it out on a flat sheet of paper, and you draw what is essentially rectangles to delineate each room of the house, right? Now, in a real house, I know in our house here, not all of the rooms are rectangular. You know, you might have a bay window that makes this little jutting out place, or you might end up in the attic having a little bit of a triangle. So for this activity in Algebra 1, what you want to do is kind of ignore the weird shapes. And so what you do is you go through your house and you're actually going to get the tape measure out and measure each room in your house. And you're going to make kind of a fake blueprint for your house. You're going to go through and say, okay, the first level of my house has a dining room, a kitchen, a den, and a master bedroom. And there's a long rectangle in the middle that is a hallway, okay? And so you will draw that out on a piece of paper, and each room is roughly a rectangle. So then you're going to take the tape measure, and your student may need a partner for this to hold one end of the tape measure, but you can measure the sides, and so you're going to measure the length, measure the width, and calculate the area of the bedroom, and the area of the kitchen, and then you're going to add those together. And when you get the area of each room and add them all together, you're calculating the square footage of your home, which is a really neat thing to show kids in high school, because as adults, when we're owning homes or looking at buying a home, the square footage matters, right? And we talk about what's the square footage of your home. And this is why it's called square footage, is because you take length times width, the units there is square feet. Feet, FT with a little 2 up at the top. You say that verbally as square feet. That's what square footage means. And so this activity takes the idea of area and gives your children a practical application of it right literally in their own home. And you can do this with your house. They can do it. A lot of my students like to calculate the square footage of their bedroom. A lot of them like to say, my bedroom's bigger than my brother's bedroom, you know, or, oh, you got the big bedroom, you know, and you get to have these, and it can be really fun. It can be competitive if you've got, you know, kids that like to compete with each other. I like to do it when I have a group. I get them all to kind of guess the square footage of their house and then do this activity to estimate the square footage of their house, and then they actually look up the actual square footage. And so they get to see, you know, how close was their guess, how close was their estimate, and then what is the actual square footage. And it just really brings home that activity. So that is optional activity 1 at the end of the algebra course. Now, I told you there were 2. So briefly, let me tell you about the second one. The second optional activity at the end of our algebra course is called Model Rockets. And that I need to give it some more lively, more upbeat name than just Model Rockets. But basically, you go and buy one of these Model Rocket kits that you can get at Walmart. You can definitely get them at hobby stores, and it's just a very standard model rocket. The only hard part about using those model rockets is you are going to want to do this activity out in an open field, somewhere where when they launch them, it's not going to hit anything. Now, you don't need any kind of FAA certifications or things like that. These little model rockets don't go that high, but they do go higher than a house or a building. So you definitely want to read and abide by the safety precautions on the box of the model rocket kit. But this is a standard model rocket kit that you can get at a hobby store for kids. This one is great when you have a high schooler, but you also have younger students and you want to do an activity that everybody can do. This model rocket activity counts for science, and it can also count for history. If you look up, you know, the history of rockets, the history of flight, you can look up NASA. And so this activity has a lot of applications for everybody. So it's a great opportunity to get the whole family in on it, go out on a Saturday and launch this rocket. And the best part for me is that it definitely counts as a math activity for your high school math student, which I love. So you can have them look up all the history of flight and model rockets, the history of the space program in the US, and do a big project, and it'll count for their math class. And you can tell them I said so. So what this one does, though, is it's designed to demonstrate math in action. And the most applicable math concepts in this activity are fun, but you're not really realizing the depth of the math going on until you get to Calculus 1. So in algebra, we wrote this so that you could do the model rocket activity and understand some of the algebra concepts that you're doing. Like, the idea is that you launch a rocket, it takes off, and then it comes back down. So it's got the 2 points, the point where it takes off and the point where it lands. Those are the zeros of a parabola, which is what you're looking at in Algebra 1 on a very basic level. You've also got things like distance equals rate times time. You can calculate how long it takes the rocket to fall back to Earth once it's up at the top, and calculate then, you know, how far did it fall. Things like that. When you get into Calculus 1, you'll want to come back to this activity and do it again, because there's a lot of concepts in Calculus 1 that come alive with this model rocket activity. But of course, any opportunity we can give our kids to learn math with things that explode, well, that's always fun. So what you do with this one is, first you put the rocket together and you assemble it. You follow all the safety instructions. Please hear me on that. Follow the safety instructions. Then you launch the rocket, and then you want to compare how this rocket launch compares to the one in the algebra book. This one is I have that it's on page 249. Recently, the book was updated, and I'm actually not sure if that is the correct page number this time or not. We will we will get a page number for you though, and I'll post it in the comments of this live video so that you can find it. But it's a problem in your homework that kids are assigned in Algebra 1 that talks about model rockets. And so when you're in that lesson, that's when you're going to go, and either that Saturday or that afternoon or the next day or however it fits into your schedule, that's when you would go and then do this model rocket activity. So that's that. I think I mentioned that you can look up, you know, how it works, and you know, there's things like thrust and lift, and you could even look, you know, who builds these rockets, where do they come from. Then they can put all this together and it would count as a math class project. And you would have them then demonstrate for you why math is relevant and important relative to rockets. Would we be able to launch rockets if we didn't have math? If nobody knew math, would we have things like model rockets? Would we have things like real rockets? Why or why not? And do you think, based on your research, that math is an important thing to learn to be able to do cool things like go to the moon and things like that? So it's a great opportunity for those kinds of conversations. So there you go. That's how to use the optional activities at the end of Algebra 1. I hope they make your algebra class a whole lot more fun and engaging, and definitely helps you answer for your kids, you know, why do I have to learn this? Hopefully that has been built in there for Algebra 1. That was our goal. And as always, if you have questions about Algebra 1 or you get in there and you need some support, we are here for you. Please reach out and talk to us, support@AskDrCallahan.com. For all of you that have purchased an Ask Dr. Callahan Algebra 1 course, that is fully supported. You guys can reach out to us and we get back to you within 24 hours. Any of our customers, we go out of our way to make sure that you are never left waiting on us and you always get the help and support you need to move forward successfully in math. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Ask Dr. Callahan Thursday edition of our Facebook Live. I'm so glad you were here, and I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye-bye.